Okay. Maybe we should end this now and move on to exactly that part. Is there any last question? I don't want to post a last question here. Yeah?
What will you do if you see everybody hacking your game?
Well, what will I do if I see everybody happy?
Hacking.
Hacking my game. Hacking my game. Well, it's a good question. You have to have, well, depends on hacking. Like,
I think he's referring to piracy.
Piracy, right. There are a couple of ways to look at it. I think Thue, who was here last time at Luminox, made a fair assessment of that. Is that if everybody would pirate my game, I'd be sad because I'm not getting any money, and if I'm not getting any money, I can't make whatever game number 2. I can't continue creating games because I'm not getting any money, so I have to find some other job. As an indie game developer, it's kind of hard not getting any money for your work. At the same time, I'd be happy because a lot of people are actually downloading the game. They really like it. I just need to figure out a way to convince those people to actually, realize that if you really like the game that I just made, that you should support me so I can make another game. Oh, that raised like an interesting, yeah? Let's start with you.
It's like if you heard about a game or game
Yep. Yep.
They implemented like if people pirated their game,
Exactly.
people pirate their games in the game.
Yeah.
That stopped most of the piracy from their game.
Game Dev Tycoon made that basically made, well, actually, I think they uploaded a pirate version of the game to these torrent sites, whatever, and it had a flaw in it. Well, that in that game, all the games were pirated, and you wouldn't get any money, so you'd eventually run out. And I think that's a fantastic take on the situation because a lot of people actually had that. And a lot of people actually complained on the forum, like, how do I stop, people from pirating my game? And, it's kind of, here's a mirror, look at yourself. You're the problem. You're the one who isn't actually supporting the game development community in paying for what you want to play. So that was interesting. Yeah, you on the back.
Yeah, when it comes to games and piracy, some people usually put up online features so that you can't actually pirate the game because you need to legally have an online account and such things. But other games have you have to buy the box of the game and then there's just nothing else to it. Would you think it would be a wise decision to put some piracy traps in games?
David, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, so the big companies definitely seem to like doing that. I can see maybe a fair model, I can understand it's important for people to make the money off of the games that they've created, and so some kind of anti-piracy protection is important to some extent, right? But when it starts to prevent people from making legitimate copies of the games that they've purchased, then that's a problem, right? So I think maybe the model that I would like to see would be something where, okay, yeah, there's copy protection on it for maybe a year, and then it stops and it becomes kind of DRM free. So you have, maybe it's 5 years, some specific amount of time to make your money in, and then after that, if people start pirating it, you can still sell it for a profit, sure, but people aren't then restricted or hands tied in terms of making their own copies after that.
So if you're having a, say, online game and the database gets hacked, would that send your game right to the grave? Or?
not necessarily straight to the grave, as usually there are backups of these databases. So the question is, if your database for a big MMO game would be hacked, is the game, basically dead? But no, because of usually you do take backups of the game. If you're not doing backups of your database, then you might be actually shooting yourself in the foot if that happens.
But the reputation of the game might get trashed.
Yes.
So nobody wants to do anything anymore because the data is compromised.
Yes.
That's the real picture.
That's the real danger.
But it's amazing how much just like double experience the day after can fix that. or some useless items you get for free or something that can,
Yes.
can
We are
really soften the blow, I think.
we are easily
Bounce back.
yeah, we can easily bounce back by by some candy or some some sort of a like, hey, we're sorry, here, have this. It doesn't hurt. You back.
Theory I heard about a way to stop piracy is that usually if games being pirated correctly is that it's either very hard to reach or overly priced. Gabe Newell did a little review on this where he said that they lowered the price of one of their games, and I think it was Left 4 Dead, the original one. They lowered the price down to 5% and they decreased in, 3,000% in sales from like the months before. It was talking basically about the fact that a lot of pirates were either not having access to the game or just didn't want to spend that much money. So it's basically a question, do you believe that that if you're having a problem with your game, you're setting your game up for $20 and you have a PayPal account which you can pay into, and you're getting a lot of pirates, you can see that on the Pirate Bay it has over $10,000. Do you think it would be worthwhile to try to figure out a better way to distribute it and lower the price, or do you think you should stick by your guns and just blame piracy?
It's always good to look at alternatives. So basically, the question is like, if the game is too high, if the price is too high for a game,
That's of course for you
to assess. Yeah,
but,
of course.
like, would you be even willing to think I priced my game too high because it's being pirated, or do you just set yourself in the mindset it's being pirated because they're assholes?
I would say that it's always good to look at all alternatives, basically. All the things of what I can't do to get pirates buying my game. It doesn't really help to actually just stay firm on your belief that $60 are a great price for a game. But if nobody's buying it and everyone's pirating it, you may need to actually step down with the price, or look at other alternatives to get people to buy it. Practically, well, just look at like piracy of games, how they have basically reduced so much. I will admit it that I've been pirating games for a long time, but since about 6, 7 years ago, even more, ever since Steam came on, and ever since I went on Steam, I've just bought games. There are some examples, I will admit again, that I have pirated after I got Steam, but that's basically because it wasn't available to me in the sense that I wanted it. Basically, a DRM kind of way that you have to be online. I had bad experience with a game from Ubisoft on that. You probably know. You can imagine what game that is. And basically, I bought it legitimately, and I couldn't play it for 2 weeks because of some server issues. And another example of this would be SimCity, the recent one. Sorry? Diablo 3, yeah. That just, if you look at it, the problem is that the player isn't getting exactly what it needed the way you needed it, basically. And Steam kind of came in and offered like, you don't have to go to the store, and all the games are there available as soon as they're out. You don't have to wait like a month for the game to ship, or even longer if you're in Australia. And all that, well, I'm not going to say all that, but a lot of the piracy of games just disappeared when Steam actually, you can kind of mark the growth of Steam sales and the decline in piracy of games. Basically, it's astounding.
I just want to say this though, I'm pretty sure if you put the numbers of Steam sales next to piracy, they would probably show more piracy, mainly because the game market has exploded in the recent 20 years.
Sure,
Just saying.
it's a very valid point. You.
Do you think Steam has gained so many customers because of their sales, or just because they are giving such variety of games without having to go to the store?
Do I believe that Steam has increased their customer base by sales and other games? Yes, I would say so. I mean, if it's on a good price and it's available to you like that, then yeah, you want to get on that train. It's basic, to me at least, it's basic, not marketing, but getting your product out there. It's the easiest way. And everyone wants to just not go to the store or not wait for a month for the product to come there. So a lot of people would jump on these platforms, and Steam happened to be at the right place at the right time, basically. Now there are tons of these, Origin at EA, and sadly now it's becoming like, no, all the EA games are going to be on this platform, and all these games are going to be on Uplay, for Ubisoft, whatever. It's kind of dividing the customer base a bit in terms of games.
Like you said, with the problems with Ubisoft, games from Ubisoft like Splinter Cell, Prediction, and Blacklist, even Trails and Illusion Limited, I was having problems like with connection. To be able to go online, you had to actually go onto your internet and change some ports or stuff like that.
Yeah. It's that part in stopping people to actually being able to play in terms of tackling piracy. Yes, it stops piracy up to a point, but not really, because eventually these games are just hacked in that way that they can't be pirated, basically. I mean, look at those Ubisoft games that have these kind of, you have to always be online, and then there's a version that you just contact your own server, local server, for the license, whatever. These usually end up being cracked anyway, and people that are that basically are affected by this piracy, like countermeasure, are basically honest buyers.
Okay, last question.
What do you
Yeah.
think about in-game purchases? And do you think they'll live for a long time?
In-game purchases, will they last? I think so. I think people have realized that, okay, for the people who aren't willing to pay me $25, $30, $40, $60 for my game, if I give them something for free and then give them the chance to throw $5 or $10 my way for the special hat or magic sword or whatever, they're often willing to do that. And so it's a way to get at least some money out of those kinds of players and to have them playing the game. So I think this is kind of a valuable thing for people.
Is it not, have you not heard about that it's, users
Yeah. So I mean, there are good and bad ways to use these features, right? The constantly pestering people for money, not so good. I mean, pay to win, terrible, right? Like, these things that you're paying for need to be extras, kind of incidental extras that aren't going to have a severe gameplay consequence that gives you the leg up over someone who chose to not buy it, right? Because otherwise, then it's the person with the most money that wins the game, and that's not a good thing for anyone, I don't think.
So what do you know, what kind of usage have you seen that you like? That, if you think it's the best way is just to say to the user, you can get if you buy it, it won't take as a long of time to do it, but you can do it the hard way, like a shortcut way.
Yeah, so that model is decent, I think, like to pay for shortcuts so long as it is possible for someone. It needs to be reasonably possible, right? Like it's not like pay $5 or spend 60 hours on this, right? Like that's that's too much, right? So there's kind of a sliding scale for anything like this that you have to be watchful of. I think, yeah, both that and paying for things that are incidental, like a fancy hat or like a pet that follows you around. Those kinds of things I think are really nice examples of microtransactions that don't break your game in any way, but they do allow people to pay for things that they get some value out of.
We're actually gonna end this now because we're kind of over time. As I said, this will be on gamecreator.igi.is if you want to review this and all that. Next up, we have Hannes Högni going to talk about game engines. That's going to be in this room next week at the same time. We will be here for a short amount of time longer to talk to you guys if there are any questions or any comments or anything. But we're going to end the official lecture here. So thanks for all coming, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.